Nyelle was 7 months pregnant, standing in the nursery she'd decorated for their son, when Siwon walked in with an expression that made her blood run cold. "Mr. On surfaced," he said quietly, his hand instinctively going to her swollen belly. "He sent a message. He's been watching us. Waiting. And now that you're vulnerable," his voice broke. "Now that we have more to lose than ever, he's ready to finish what he started 2 years ago." Nyelle felt their baby kick hard against her ribs, as if sensing the danger, and knew with devastating certainty that the peace they'd built was about to shatter. Because Mr. On didn't just know where they lived. He knew about the baby. He knew about Iseul. And he'd spent 2 years in hiding, planning the perfect revenge against the man who'd destroyed his life. Before you find out what Mr. On is planning, smash that subscribe button and hit notifications. Drop a comment, do you think they'll survive this? Because what's coming will destroy you emotionally. Let's go. 2 years had passed since the fire, since the betrayal, since Nyelle and Siwon had built their life from the ashes of his criminal past. 2 years of peace. Of normalcy. Of Iseul thriving in school. Of Siwon's legitimate shipping company succeeding. Of Nyelle leading the most successful marine environmental recovery project in modern history. 2 years of believing they were finally safe. They should have known better. The message from Mr. On came through an encrypted email to Siwon's private account. No threats. No demands. Just a single photograph that made Nyelle's knees buckle when Siwon showed it to her. The photo showed her and Iseul leaving the marine research facility yesterday afternoon. Taken from close range. Professional. Recent. The caption read, "Beautiful family. Fragile. The pregnant one especially. Tell me, Ryu, how do you protect someone who can barely run?" "He's been watching us," Nyelle whispered, her hands protective over her belly where their son kicked in response to her elevated heart rate. "For how long?" "Long enough to know our routines. Our security gaps. When you're most vulnerable." Siwon's jaw was tight with controlled fury as he pulled out his phone, already calling their head of security. "He escaped federal custody 8 months ago. No one told us because they assumed he'd fled the country. But he's been here. Waiting. Planning. Planning what? To take everything from me the way I took everything from him. His freedom. His livelihood. His place in the organization." Siwon pulled her close, careful of her pregnant belly, his hand spreading protectively over where their son grew. "Agent Chen is on her way. We're going into lockdown until they catch him." But lockdown meant prison. Meant Iseul scared and isolated again, the progress she'd made in therapy over the past 2 years shattered. Meant Nyelle trapped in their home while 7 months pregnant instead of doing the marine research work she loved. Meant admitting that they'd never truly escaped Siwon's past, that it would always come back to haunt them. "There has to be another way," Nyelle said, her voice shaking. "We can't live like this. We can't raise our son in a fortress the way we raised Iseul. I won't do that to him. I won't." A contraction tightened across her belly, stealing her breath. Not labor, just Braxton Hicks, her body preparing for the birth still 2 months away. But the timing felt ominous. "We'll live however keeps you alive." Siwon's voice was absolute. "However keeps our son safe. However protects Iseul. I don't care if it means a fortress or witness protection or moving to the other side of the world. You 3 are my life. Everything else is negotiable." The argument was cut short by Iseul running into the room, her 9-year-old face bright with excitement that made Nyelle's heart clench because she knew it was about to be destroyed. There's a fancy car outside and a lady with a present for the baby. She says she's my grandmother." Everything stopped. "What?" Siwon was moving before Nyelle could process, his entire demeanor shifting from concerned husband to the dangerous man he used to be. "Iseul, go to your room. Now. Lock the door." "But she seems nice and she brought a present." "Now, Iseul." The little girl's face crumpled at her father's harsh tone, and she ran from the room crying. Nyelle wanted to follow, to comfort her, but Siwon's hand on her arm stopped her. "Stay behind me. If anything happens, you run. You get Iseul and you run to the panic room." "Understood." Nyelle followed Siwon to the front door where their security team had stopped an elegantly dressed Korean woman in her 60s from entering. The woman's resemblance to the photographs Nyelle had seen of Yuna was striking. The same refined features, the same elegant bearing. This was young Sophia, Yuna's mother, Iseul's maternal grandmother. The woman who had blamed Iseul for her daughter's death and refused all contact for 9 years. Mr. Ryu, Sophia said coolly, her eyes scanning him with barely concealed contempt before landing on Nyelle's pregnant form with something like distaste. It's been a long time. I came to meet my granddaughter. The one you've been hiding from us for 9 years. Hiding? Siwon's voice was deadly calm, the tone that made even hardened criminals nervous. I've been protecting. There's a difference. You made it clear at Yuna's funeral that you wanted nothing to do with Iseul. Blamed her for your daughter's death. Told me you never wanted to see the child who'd killed your daughter. Now you show up unannounced at my home, because we only recently learned the truth about what happened to Yuna. That she wasn't killed in random violence. That she was murdered because of your world. Your enemies. Your choices. Sophia's composure cracked slightly, real grief bleeding through the aristocratic mask. My husband and I have spent 2 years investigating her death. We know about the criminal organization you ran. The environmental crimes committed under your company's name. The FBI cooperation that got you immunity while our daughter's killers went free. And we know you've built a new life with a new woman while our daughter's child is being raised by a stranger who has no blood claim to her. I'm not a stranger, Nyelle said, stepping forward despite Siwon's protective hand trying to hold her back. Her pregnant belly made her movements awkward, but she refused to hide. I'm Iseul's mother. I've raised her since she was 4 years old. I've loved her, protected her, taught her, been there for every nightmare and triumph and ordinary Tuesday. I'm her mother in every way that matters. You're his wife. There's a difference. Sophia's gaze dropped to Nyelle's pregnant belly with unconcealed distaste, her lips thinning. And now you're replacing Iseul with a biological child. A son to carry on the family name while my granddaughter, my daughter's only legacy, is pushed aside for your own offspring. How convenient. The accusation hit harder than Nyelle expected. Because hadn't she worried about exactly that? Whether Iseul would feel replaced when the baby came. Whether loving a biological child would be different. Whether she was capable of loving both equally. That's not, Nyelle started, but Sophia was already continuing. Mrs. Young, Siwon interrupted coldly, stepping fully between Sophia and Nyelle. You need to leave. Now. Before I call the police for trespassing and harassment. Call them. I'll simply file for grandparents' rights in front of the officers. I have lawyers prepared to fight for custody of Iseul. We have evidence that she's been exposed to danger repeatedly due to your criminal connections, that explosion 2 years ago that destroyed your home, the kidnapping attempts throughout her childhood, the FBI investigations. All documented. All proof that our granddaughter isn't safe in your care. Sophia pulled a folder from her designer handbag. We also have testimony from former associates who say you're still connected to criminal activities. That you've simply learned to hide it better. That my granddaughter lives in constant danger. Nyelle felt the baby kick violently, her stress hormones flooding her system and transmitting directly to her unborn son. You can't just take her. Watch us. We have resources, political connections, and a legitimate claim as blood relatives who can provide a stable, safe, normal life. Sophia turned to leave, then paused. We'll be filing tomorrow. Prepare yourselves for a custody battle. And Dr. Baptiste? Ask yourself if you're willing to let Iseul suffer through another trial, more psychological evaluation, more trauma, just so you can play mother to someone else's child. Because that's what you are. Playing. My daughter was Iseul's real mother. You're just the woman who happened to be there. After she left, Nyelle couldn't stop shaking. The baby kicked frantically, responding to her racing pulse, and another Braxton Hicks contraction tightened across her belly. Siwon guided her to the couch, his hands gentle on her swollen belly as he knelt in front of her, but his expression was carved from stone. This isn't coincidence, he said, his voice flat with controlled rage. Mr. On escapes, then Yuna's parents suddenly surface after 9 years of silence? Someone coordinated this. Someone who knows exactly how to hurt us. Someone who understands that attacking on multiple fronts will overwhelm our defenses. Who? Nyelle asked, even though part of her already knew. There was only one person left from Siwon's past with the motivation and resources to orchestrate something this elaborate. I don't know yet, but we're about to find out. He pressed his forehead to hers, his hands still protective over their son. I won't let them take Iseul. I won't let them hurt you or our baby. I promise you that. But how could he promise that? Nyelle wondered as she felt their son kick against Siwon's palm. How could anyone promise safety when the past kept rising up like a monster that refused to stay buried? That night, after they'd comforted a sobbing Iseul who'd overheard enough to understand that strangers wanted to take her away, after they'd reinforced security and contacted lawyers and tried to project calm while internally screaming, Nyelle couldn't sleep. She stood in the nursery they'd prepared for their son, soft blue walls painted with sea creatures, the crib Siwon had assembled with such careful attention, the mobile of dolphins and whales she'd hung herself, and wondered if their baby would ever be safe enough to use it. 7 months pregnant with a son who kicked constantly as if already fighting. 9-year-old Iseul terrified of being ripped away from the only mother she remembered. And Mr. On somewhere in the shadows, waiting to strike while they were distracted by the custody threat. Siwon found her there, wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands covering hers on her belly where their son rolled and kicked. We'll protect them. Both of them. All of us. How? Nyelle turned in his arms, awkward with her pregnant belly between them. We're being attacked from multiple directions. Mr. On wanting you dead. The Youngs wanting Iseul. And whoever is coordinating them has thought of everything. We're outmaneuvered, Siwon. Admit it. We're not outmaneuvered. We're being tested. There's a difference. His hands framed her face, thumbs brushing away tears she hadn't realized were falling. And we've survived worse. Fire. Betrayal. Assassination attempts. We survived all of it because we fought together. This is no different. This is different. I'm 7 months pregnant. I can barely walk without waddling. I can't fight. I can't run. I'm a liability, and you know it. The admission broke something in her. Maybe Sophia is right. Maybe Iseul would be safer away from us. From your past. From me trying to be something I was never meant to be. Don't. His hands tightened on her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Don't let them make you doubt. Iseul belongs with us. You're her mother, the only mother that matters. The mother who chose her. Who fought for her. Who loved her when she was alone and desperate. Biology doesn't make family. Choice does. Love does. And you have both. Even when loving her might mean losing her? Nyelle's voice broke. Even when fighting for her might traumatize her more than letting her go? She's not yours to let go. She's ours. And families don't surrender. He pulled her closer, careful of her belly, and rested his forehead against hers. Come to bed. You need rest. The baby needs rest. Tomorrow we fight. Tonight we hold each other and remember what we're fighting for. In their bedroom, Siwon helped her out of her clothes with gentle hands, his touch reverent on her changed body. 7 months pregnant, Nyelle felt awkward and ungainly, but the way Siwon looked at her, like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, made her feel powerful instead of vulnerable. I love you like this, he murmured, his hands tracing the swell of her belly, the fullness of her breasts, the curves pregnancy had brought. Carrying our son. Strong and fierce even when you feel weak. You're everything, Nyelle. Everything. I don't feel strong. I feel terrified. You can be both. He kissed her softly, then deeper, his hands mapping her body like he was memorizing her. Let me show you how strong you are. Let me remind you. They made love slowly, carefully, Siwon mindful of her pregnant belly, but possessive in ways that proved they both needed the connection. His hands were everywhere, tangled in her hair, cupping her fuller breasts, spreading across her belly to feel their son kick. And when he entered her, it felt like claiming and cherishing simultaneously. You're mine, he whispered against her lips, his rhythm slow and deep. Mine to love. Mine to protect. Mine to keep safe. Say it. I'm yours, she gasped, her body responding despite her exhaustion and fear. Only yours. Always yours. And I'm yours. Not the man I used to be. Not the criminal or the killer or the monster people think I am. Yours. Your husband. Iseul's father. Our son's father. That's who I am now. That's all I want to be. When they came together, it was with whispered promises and desperate hope. That they'd survive. That their family would stay intact. That love could be enough even when the world tried to tear them apart. Afterward, lying tangled together with their baby kicking between them, Siwon's hand played idly with Nyelle's hair. I love you. For your strength even when you feel broken. For fighting for us even when you're terrified. I love you too. For making me believe we can survive anything. We can. We will. He pressed a kiss to her forehead. But I need you to promise me something. If things go wrong tomorrow, if the custody hearing doesn't go our way, if Mr. On makes his move, you protect yourself and our son first. You run. You survive. Promise me. I'm not leaving you. Promise me, Nyelle. I can't fight if I'm worried about you. I need to know you'll survive even if I don't. Don't talk like that. Promise. Fine. I promise. But you're coming with us. You're surviving too. All of us together or none of us at all. They made love again in the early morning hours, desperate and clinging, both knowing that everything was about to change, but unwilling to face it until the sun forced them to. The answer to who was orchestrating the attacks came 2 days later in the most unexpected way. Nyelle was at the Marine Research Facility, against Siwon's wishes, but with heavy security, when her assistant James Morrison approached with a strange expression. Dr. Ryu, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. Says it's about your family and you'll want to hear what she has to say. Who? She wouldn't give her full name. But she said to tell you she knows who's trying to take Iseul. And why. And she's willing to help you stop them. Nyelle should have called security immediately. Should have refused to meet with anyone without Siwon present. Should have done anything except follow James to the conference room where a woman waited. The woman was Korean, late 50s, elegantly dressed despite the nervous tremor in her hands. Kind eyes filled with a sadness that looked bone deep. She stood when Nyelle entered, and something about her posture, defeated but determined, made Nyelle pause. Dr. Ryu. Thank you for seeing me. I know this is strange, and you have no reason to trust me, but I need you to listen. My name is Park Minji. I was Min Sarah's mother. The name hit Nyelle like a physical blow. Min Sarah. Kang Min-sik's daughter. The woman who'd orchestrated the attack 2 years ago. The woman who'd kidnapped Iseul and tried to kill Siwon. The woman who died in the warehouse fire when her plan had failed. Why are you here? Nyelle asked carefully, her hand instinctively moving to her pregnant belly in a protective gesture. Because my daughter's death wasn't the end. Her father, my ex-husband, has been planning revenge ever since. He's the one who helped Mr. On escape federal custody. The one who contacted the Youngs and told them about Iseul, fed them lies about abuse and neglect. The one orchestrating everything from the shadows. Park Minji's eyes filled with tears. And I came to warn you because I've lost enough family to this war. I won't lose my humanity too. I won't let my ex-husband create more orphans and broken families in the name of revenge. Nyelle studied the woman carefully, looking for signs of deception. Why would you betray your ex-husband? Sarah was your daughter. We're the ones who got her killed. Sarah got herself killed, Park Minji said firmly. I loved my daughter, but I'm not blind to what she became. She chose revenge over redemption. Chose violence over healing. And she died because of those choices, not because of you. She pulled out a folder with shaking hands. My ex-husband, Min Kang, he was Kang Min-sik's right hand for 30 years. When Siwon took down the organization and Sarah died trying to get revenge, Min Kang lost everything. His position, his power, his daughter. And he blames Siwon for all of it. So he's orchestrating Mr. On's escape and the custody battle to destroy us, Nyelle finished. It's worse than that. He's also been feeding the Youngs false information about Iseul's life. Doctored photographs showing her looking frightened or injured. Testimony from paid witnesses claiming they've seen abuse. Medical records that have been altered to suggest neglect. Park Minji's voice shook. The Youngs are good people consumed by grief. They genuinely believe they're saving their granddaughter from a dangerous situation. They don't know they're being manipulated. Can you prove it? Nyelle asked. Everything is in this folder. His communications with Mr. On. The payments to the Young's investigators. The falsified evidence. All of it. She slid the folder across the table. I've been gathering this for months, ever since I realized what he was planning. I thought about going to the police, but I wasn't sure they'd believe the ex-wife of a criminal. So I came to you directly. Why now? Why help us after everything? Park Minji looked at Nyelle's pregnant belly, tears streaming down her face. Because you're about to have a son. Because Iseul is about to have a brother. Because I see in your eyes the same love I had for Sarah when she was innocent, before my ex-husband's world corrupted her. Before revenge poisoned everything. She took a shaky breath. I won't let him destroy another family. Another child. I won't let him create another Sarah, raised in violence and hatred until that's all she knows. If I can stop him, if I can help you protect your children, then maybe some good can come from all this pain. After Park Minji left, Nyelle called Siwon and Agent Chin immediately. They arrived within 20 minutes, both reading through the evidence folder with expressions that shifted from grim to furious. This is enough to arrest Min Kang, Agent Chin said. More than enough. He's orchestrated an escape from federal custody, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, obstruction of justice. We can put him away for life. And the Young's custody case? Nyelle asked, her hand protective over her belly where the baby kicked. This proves they were manipulated with false evidence. Once they see this, they'll drop the petition. They're not monsters, they're grieving grandparents who were lied to by a man with an agenda. Chin looked at Siwon. But the Mr. On problem doesn't go away just because we arrest Min Kang. He's still out there. Still planning to kill you and hurt your family. So we draw him out, Nyelle said quietly, even though the thought terrified her. We give him what he wants. A target he can't resist. No. Siwon's voice was flat, absolute. Absolutely not. You're not using yourself as bait while 7 months pregnant. Not happening. I wasn't suggesting me. I was suggesting you. But we make him think he's winning. That he's accomplished his goal of overwhelming us. Nyelle looked at Agent Chin. We leak information that I'm devastated about the custody case. That I'm having early contractions from stress. That I'll be at the marine facility late working because I can't sleep. Light security due to budget cuts. Siwon at a business dinner across town. The perfect opportunity for Mr. On to strike. And in reality? Chin asked. In reality, the facility is crawling with FBI agents. I'm in a safe house. And Siwon is the one waiting in my office, ready to end Mr. On's threat once and for all. The plan was insane. Reckless. Everything Agent Chin argued against. But it was also the only way to draw Mr. On out before the custody hearing, before Nyelle went into labor, before their window to act closed completely. They spent 3 days setting the trap, leaking information through channels they knew Mr. On monitored. Nyelle gave a tearful interview to a sympathetic reporter about the custody battle, the stress, the early contractions that had her doctors worried. Siwon was photographed at a business dinner downtown, far from the marine facility where Nyelle would supposedly be working late. I hate this plan, Nyelle said the night before the operation, lying in Siwon's arms with their baby kicking restlessly between them. The nursery was finished now, every detail perfect, waiting for a son who might be born into a world without his father if things went wrong. I hate you being the bait. I hate not being there. I hate all of it. I hate you being anywhere near danger while carrying our son, Siwon countered, his hand spread across her belly, feeling the strong kicks of the baby who was running out of room. So we're even. His hand spread wider, and Nyelle felt their son respond to his father's touch with a series of rolls that made her entire belly shift. After tomorrow, it's done. Mr. On in custody. Min Kang arrested. The Young's custody case dismissed when they realize they've been manipulated. Then we can finally breathe. And then I go into labor in 2 months and we have a newborn and Iseul dealing with custody trauma and post-traumatic stress and we handle it. Together. Like we handle everything. He kissed her, slow and deep, his hand still protective over their son. But tonight I need you. Need to remember what I'm fighting for. Need to remind myself why I'm willing to walk into that trap tomorrow. They made love with aching tenderness, Siwon worshipping her 7 months pregnant body with hands and mouth and whispered promises. That he'd come back to her. That they'd raise their son together. That Iseul would stay with them. That their family would survive this final test. I love you, Nyelle whispered when they were tangled together afterward, their baby kicking against both their hands where they rested on her belly. Come back to me. To us. I can't do this without you. You could, he said seriously. If you had to, you'd be an amazing single mother to both children. You're that strong. I don't want to be that strong. I want you here. Want our son to know his father. Want Iseul to have her appa. Want to grow old with you arguing about whose turn it is to change diapers. Then I'll come back. I promise you, Nyelle. I'll come back. But promises, Nyelle had learned, were fragile things in Siwon's world. Beautiful and sincere and utterly breakable. The next night, when the trap was sprung and FBI agents were positioned throughout the marine facility, something went catastrophically wrong. Mr. On was there, emerging from the shadows of Nyelle's office where Siwon waited. But he wasn't alone. Did you really think I was that stupid? Mr. On's voice came through Siwon's calm link, transmitted to the FBI command van where Nyelle listened with mounting horror despite Agent Chen's orders that she stay away. Did you think I wouldn't know this was a setup? I've been watching you for 2 years, Ryu. I know how you think. How you plan. How you protect. Then you know I'll kill you if you don't surrender. Siwon's voice was cold, controlled, but Nyelle could hear the tension underneath. Maybe, but not before I hurt you. And I know exactly how to do that. A pause, then, your wife isn't at the safe house, is she? Because Min Kang's men just confirmed she left 20 minutes ago in an FBI vehicle. Something about early labor? How unfortunate. Traffic in LA at night can be so dangerous, especially for pregnant women traveling to the hospital. Nyelle's blood went cold. Because it was true. She'd started having real contractions an hour ago, not Braxton Hicks this time, but the genuine article, regular and increasingly painful. The safe house agent had recognized the signs and rushed her to the hospital, and in the chaos of the operation and her own pain, no one had properly updated Siwon's team about the change in plans. If you touch her, Siwon's voice was raw with terror that he never showed, the control cracking to reveal absolute panic underneath. I won't have to. Because you're going to come to me. Alone. Unarmed. Or Min Kang makes a phone call and your pregnant wife's car has a very unfortunate accident on the freeway. Your choice, Ryu. Your family or your pride. You have 5 minutes to decide. The next 10 minutes were chaos. Siwon trying desperately to locate Nyelle's vehicle. Agent Chen scrambling to get FBI protection to her. Units mobilizing to intercept Min Kang's men. And Nyelle, in the back of an SUV, having contractions every 7 minutes now, knowing that her husband was about to walk into a death trap to save her. She called him, her hands shaking as another contraction gripped her. Siwon, don't. Don't you dare trade your life for mine. Every time, he said simply, his voice carrying absolute conviction. Every single time. Keep our son safe, Nyelle. Tell Iseul I love her more than my own life. And Nyelle, you were the best yes I ever said. The best choice I ever made. I love you. Don't you dare say goodbye to me. But the line went dead, and Nyelle screamed, partly from the contraction ripping through her belly, partly from the terror of losing the man she loved. If you're freaking out right now, smash that like button. Comment now, is Siwon going to survive? Is Nyelle going to give birth? Keep watching because this gets intense. Siwon walked into the warehouse on the port of Los Angeles waterfront alone, unarmed, knowing he was probably going to die, but willing to make that trade if it kept Nyelle and their unborn son safe. Mr. On was waiting in the center of the cavernous space, gun in hand, Min Kang beside him looking satisfied and cruel. Finally, Mr. On said, his voice echoing in the empty warehouse. After 2 years of planning. 2 years of watching you build a happy life while I rotted in a federal cell and then lived like a rat in hiding. 2 years of seeing you get everything, the beautiful wife, the respected business, the perfect family, while I lost everything. Now it ends. Then end it, Siwon said, his voice steady despite knowing he was about to die. Let my family go. This is between us. No. This is about you losing everything like I did. Your wife. Your children. Your life. In that order. Mr. On raised his gun, and Siwon saw his finger tightening on the trigger. Min Kang's men should be reaching your wife's car right about. The explosion of gunfire cut him off. But it wasn't Min Kang's men shooting. It was FBI tactical teams, led by Agent Chin, taking down every threat simultaneously. Because Nyelle, even in labor, even terrified, even in pain, had refused to stay passive. Had coordinated with Chan from the hospital where they'd arrived. Had used herself as bait while Siwon drew out Mr. On, creating a two-pronged trap that caught both threats at once. You really thought we'd make the same mistake twice? Agent Chen's voice came through speakers positioned around the warehouse. Mr. On, Min Kang, you're both under arrest. Drop your weapons. It's over. But Mr. On was desperate. Cornered. 2 years of planning collapsing around him. He grabbed for Siwon, guns swinging toward him in a last desperate attempt to take Siwon down with him. And Siwon moved on pure instinct, the combat training that had kept him alive in his criminal years taking over. They fought viciously, bodies slamming into concrete, the gun between them. When it went off, the sound echoed through the warehouse like a cannon blast. Nyelle, listening from her hospital bed between contractions, screamed. Siwon. Silence. Terrible, endless silence. Then Agent Chen's voice, calm and professional. Dr. Ryu, your husband is fine. Mr. On is down. It's over. Siwon is safe. The relief that flooded through Nyelle was so intense it triggered another contraction, this one different from the others. Stronger. More insistent. And when it passed, she felt a gush of warm fluid. Her water had broken. I need him, she sobbed to the nurse rushing in. I need my husband. I can't do this alone. Please, he has to be here. Our son. He's on his way, sweetheart. FBI is bringing him. 20 minutes, maybe less. Can you hold on? But the baby had his own timeline. Contractions were coming hard and fast now, 3 minutes apart, then 2. Nyelle's body was taking over, pushing toward birth whether Siwon was there or not. I can see the head, the doctor said. Dr. Ryu, your son is coming. You need to push. Not without Siwon. Please, not without him. I'm here. The door burst open and Siwon rushed in, still bloody from the fight, flanked by FBI agents, but his eyes were only for Nyelle. I'm here, I'm not leaving, I'm right here. He grabbed her hand, and Nyelle gripped it hard enough to break bones as another contraction hit. Push, the doctor commanded. Now, Dr. Ryu. Your son is coming. Kai Siwon Ryu was born at 3:47 a.m., 7 weeks early at 5 pounds 8 ounces, tiny and perfect and screaming his fury at being born into such chaos. Siwon cut the cord with shaking hands that were still scraped from fighting, tears streaming down his face, and when the nurse placed their son, their impossibly small, impossibly perfect son, in Nyelle's arms, they both broke. We did it, Nyelle whispered, staring at the tiny face of their son, at the shock of black hair and the eyes that hadn't yet opened. We survived. Again. We did more than survive. We won. Siwon pressed his forehead to hers, one hand cupping their son's impossibly small head. Mr. On is dead. Min Kang is in custody. And our son is here and perfect in ours. 7 weeks early, Nyelle said, worry creeping in as she noticed how tiny Kai was, how his breathing seemed rapid. The NICU team is standing by, the nurse said gently. Just as a precaution for preemies. Let me just check his vitals. The next hour was a blur of tests and monitoring. Kai's lungs were underdeveloped, common for babies born at 33 weeks, and he needed oxygen support. They took him to the NICU, and Nyelle sobbed as they wheeled her son away, Siwon holding her as she broke apart. He's strong, Siwon whispered. He's a fighter. Like his mother. He'll be okay. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because he's ours. And our family doesn't give up. The custody hearing with the Youngs happened 3 days later, with Nyelle still in the hospital recovering and Kai still in the NICU. But Agent Chin arrived at the courthouse with Park Minji's evidence folder and the full story of Min Kang's manipulation. confronted with proof that they'd been fed lies, that the photographs of Iseul looking frightened had been doctored, that the testimony about abuse had been paid for, that everything they'd believed about their granddaughter's life was false. Young Minwo and Sophia withdrew their custody petition immediately. More than that, they requested a meeting. The meeting happened in Nyelle's hospital room, where she could be close to Kai's NICU room. The Youngs looked older than their years, broken by grief and guilt, nothing like the threatening figures who'd appeared at their home. "We were told terrible things," Sophia said quietly, her hands twisting in her lap. "That Iseul was being neglected, abused, exploited for publicity. Min Kang showed us photographs, your daughter looking terrified, bruised, crying. He had testimonies from teachers and neighbors and doctors. All of it fake, we know now. But we believed it because we wanted someone to blame for Yuna's death. And you were an easy target. Our daughter died because of violence that we don't fully understand," Minwo added, his voice heavy with grief. "We blamed Siwon for bringing that violence into her life. Blamed Iseul for existing, for being the reason Yuna was in that restaurant that night. We were wrong about everything. And we're ashamed. What do you want?" Siwon asked carefully, positioned protectively between the Youngs and Nyelle's hospital bed. "To know her. Not to take her. Not to disrupt her life. Just to be grandparents from a distance if you'll allow it." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Birthday cards. Photos. Maybe occasional visits if Iseul wants them. We've lost so much, our daughter, 9 years of our granddaughter's life. We don't want to lose what remains of Yuna entirely." Nyelle looked at Siwon, then at Iseul, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner of the room listening to everything. "Iseul, sweetheart, come here. This is your choice. What do you think?" The 9-year-old approached cautiously, studying the grandparents who'd wanted to take her away. "You wanted to take me for my Amma and Appa. We thought we were saving you," Sophia said. "We were wrong. Your Amma loves you. We can see that now. And we're sorry. Can you come to Kai's first birthday party?" Iseul asked after a long moment. "If you're nice and you don't try to take me away and you understand that Amma Nyelle is my real mom?" "If you'll have us, yes," Minwo said. "We'd be honored." "Then okay. But you're on probation. Like Appa was." Iseul crossed her arms with 9-year-old seriousness. "If you're mean or scary, you're out." Despite everything, Nyelle found herself smiling. "That's fair, baby." 3 weeks later, Kai came home from the NICU, healthy and growing and no longer needing oxygen support. Iseul was obsessed with her baby brother, wanting to help with every feeding and diaper change, proving Sophia's fears about replacement wrong with every gentle touch. The Youngs sent a card, just a card, respecting boundaries, welcoming their grandson, and apologizing again to Iseul. It was a start. A fragile one, but a start. 3 months after that, Nyelle stood on the same beach where she'd met Iseul 5 years ago, watching her daughter teach 3-month-old Kai to feel sand between his tiny toes while Siwon kept them both from eating it. The ocean was cleaner than it had been in 50 years, thanks to her research. The environmental recovery project was being replicated globally. And their family had survived everything thrown at them. "What are you thinking?" Siwon asked, joining her while Iseul entertained Kai with exaggerated faces that made the baby gurgle with laughter. "That we made it. Through Mr. On and Min Kang and custody battles and early labor and NICU stays and everything else. We actually made it. We did more than make it. We built something unbreakable." He pulled her close, both of them watching their children with wonder. "I love you. For fighting beside me. For being brave enough to say yes 5 years ago when a desperate little girl needed a mother. Best yes I ever said." "Second best," he corrected with a smile. "The best yes you said was when I asked you to marry me." "Third best," Nyelle laughed. "The best was saying yes to carrying Kai. Even if he did decide to come 7 weeks early and scare me half to death. He's impatient. Like his mother. He's stubborn. Like his father." They kissed as the sun set over the Pacific, and Iseul made exaggerated gagging sounds while Kai waved his tiny fists and gurgled, and everything was exactly as it should be. Perfect. Whole. Safe. Together. And this time finally, truly free from the past. I'm sobbing. If this story destroyed you, smash that like button. Comment your favorite moment: the warehouse fight, Kai's early birth, the NICU scenes, Iseul meeting the Youngs. Share with someone who believes love survives anything. Subscribe for more dark romance that refuses to break. Thank you for being here, for believing in this family, for writing every terrifying, beautiful moment with us. Until next time, remember, family is who you fight hell for, who you die to protect, who you choose every single day. And sometimes the best investments start with saying yes to the impossible and never letting go. Love you all.